A wise fish is swimming through the ocean. He sees two young fish and says, "Hey boys, how's the water?" The two young fish look at each other and say, "What's water?" That's consciousness.
Good afternoon, good day, good evening. I don't know what time you're listening or where you're listening from. It's your boy, your host, NaRon Tillman, and you are with me for another episode of Walk in Victory. Speaking of victory, walk.
Warning, this is a public service announcement. The Walk in Victory podcast is where we have conversations purposed to evolve lives. You may not want to evolve. Then tune into another bleeping podcast. Everyone else, enjoy the show. And here's our host.
Good day, good evening. I don't know what time you're listening or where you're listening from. It's your boy, your host, NaRon Tillman, all with you for another inspiring episode of Walk in Victory. I was trying to find an adjective to use. I was going to say exciting episode. I think I was thinking of wonderful, but inspiring. I think you're going to inspire those to do that are listening. So we are literally talking Earth. We have to look at our businesses not just as meeting the needs of our customers, whatever those needs are. Because we get into business, once we get to that, identify how we can help that then buyer. Unless you're selling high-end clothing, you just, because that's just payment. Most of our businesses are connected to we have a need, right? If you're selling groceries, you're helping a community by doing that. We get so caught up into the bottom line that sometimes we lose the sight of the compassion piece that flows in being business. And if you don't have someone on the team to help you to be more in the community, right? You can't just take from the community. You have to be conscious and pivot to the community at some point, sometime. You seen the ice cream man when I was a kid, and in September, he'd come around and he would overprice it or give like some of the bars that he was holding. He didn't have to do that, but he understood that there was something in being compassionate to the community that supported you all year round. Also, you do something back that makes them better of spending money. Having that mindset is intentional. It's intentional. And it goes a long way. We service we start to understand the community, we start to understand the people that we or that the I remember going to the store as a little kid with a note from my mother and a butcher understood telling them I'll pay you on Tuesday, but he understood who I was. And when I got in trouble in that store as a teenager, I'm calling him over because he had all the ball with me. And all the time alone, every now and I go tell him before he tells us. I'm going to tell a half story, but those times, but the compassion still needs to be there. And we're going to have that conversation today about how one should think about being compassionate as a community, as a company, and as an organization. How I'm doing, Charlie?
Good, man. I appreciate you having me on. I love the intro.
I appreciate you coming on. You don't mind talking to the audience a little bit about yourself and what it is that you do.
I'm born and raised in Utah. As a lot of people know Utah, they know it's very religious, very Mormon. I wasn't Catholic. I wasn't atheist. I wasn't Buddhist. I was just this blank slate. I was as blank as this white wall behind me. I had very unique parents. Truly, I don't know of anyone who has parents like mine. We never went to church, but it wasn't that they were against it. It wasn't that we were for it. It just wasn't in our awareness. I didn't do good around kids my age. I was offered a job in a little small business around 16 or 17, and I jumped at the chance because I loved being around adults. I was more comfortable. I could talk to them. Come to find out down the road, I was an older soul. Did really well in that business. The unique thing that we'll probably talk about today is how the universe functions, because I enjoyed that business. I was safe. I was secure. I wanted to retire there. Everything was good. Great employees, great culture. After flying 2 million miles, I developed a fear of flying. And that fear of flying had nothing to do with the fear. It was the universe trying to get me out of that business. It needed to do something to drive me to the point, push me into a corner where I would finally leave. Because after I finally left that business in 2011, I was on a plane a month later. So it had nothing to do with that. After that, I took over the Pay It Forward Foundation, the book and the movie, Pay It Forward. You're talking about the community and how people take care of each other. I loved Pay It Forward. I loved doing something for someone, but asking them to do it for someone else. They didn't repay me. It spread out. So I jumped on board with the foundation, took that over, traveled the world, got tens of millions of people involved, left that. During that time, and after I left the business, most humans nowadays do some type of self-development. Tony Robbins, reading books, new knowledge, teachers, mentors, guides, coaches, whatever it is. And I was doing the same thing because I didn't have a framework. So I was just doing what everyone else was doing. And the people I was skipping across kept telling me they really couldn't help me. And that was not a comforting feeling because they could help everyone else. They could help everyone else grow. Yeah, but they were being very honest. And luckily, one of them finally said, "You're not looking for a coach. You're looking for a teacher. You're looking for a deeper meaning." And I was like, "I don't know what the hell that means. Could you help me?" And she didn't know either. She didn't know how to find a teacher. I didn't know what a teacher was. I didn't know what spirituality was. I didn't know what religion was. I barely knew what self-development was. Luckily, I met an old guy in the gym, in the sauna. His name was Dick Birch. He was buck naked when he first met me, and I was sitting down. He was standing up. He had no framework of what he should and should not do, no boundaries. And he came up to me and looked me in the eye, and said, "I feel like I've known you from a past life." I was like, "Oh, okay. First of all, take a seat. This is out of hand." He was eye level right here with me. And then second of all, what do you mean by a past life? That was the straw that broke the dam. Because that finally got me into asking different questions. He had me reading books. He told me about meditation, everything else. It led to a teacher, which then led to another teacher. And then the last decade I've spent with a very intelligent, enlightened individual, someone who can levitate, someone who can heal, someone who can look at you, knows your thoughts. He knows what's going on in your body. He can tell you to go get checked up. He can tell you if you've got cancer. It's just, and he's not as rare as you think. As this world shifts in consciousness, more and more of these abilities are coming out and people are talking about it in a more common framework. So I spent a lot of time with him and he stripped everything away. I didn't have a lot of things to strip away, but he stripped it even more away and put me into such a neutral state because he had me read every book possible. Not to teach me or to fill my mind with knowledge, but to show me that it's all coming from the same place. To show me that all religions are leading to the same top of the mountain. We're all doing the same stuff with different words, different constructs, but yet we're killing each other over it, or we're upset with each other over it. We're conflicted with each other over it. Same thing with Democrats and Republicans. That got me into that path, and it got me really understanding how the universe works, how consciousness works. And it led to this. It led to understanding how divided the world is. And I can't imagine a better time than to bring this into the conversation of the community, of business, especially business, because everyone needs a job, and helping them understand that it's a vast untapped resource they can tap into.
Yeah, growing up, the total opposite in the religious setting, going to church and everything. And being taught some of the things that you was talking about later on in life. I had to unlearn a lot of things I learned. Just from your place. Yeah, was I've been the genes in kind of use that you have to strip away. What would you say to a person that has is used to overcome, that wants to dig into, that may see someone who's a seeker or seer as someone maybe because we classify everything so they got all that since he's a little weird, high or whatever. Who you have those conversations?
Very simply, very easy, very neutral in a sense. If they ask the right questions, we can have a conversation like you're talking about. If they start talking to me about how devout they are with Jesus and Catholicism, then I'll just listen because that's perfectly fine. If they're devout with Buddhist or Hindu or Muslims or atheists or Mormon, I just listen. If you have someone you're talking about that starts to ask deeper questions like, what else is there? I would talk about the Catholic and the atheist. They truly believe that they're right and the other side is crazy. Catholics think atheists are going to hell and they're crazy, and an atheist thinks a Catholic, for believing in what they believe in, is crazy. A Republican believes the Democrat is ruining the world. A Democrat believes the Republican's ruining the world. Now, I know that's very simple, very simply framed. When you say it, people are like, yeah, I get it. That's probably the first time they've ever heard something like that. And whether they agree with it or not, and whether it's not going to change their mind, that's perfect. That's not the point of saying it, but it plants a seed and they can't unhear it. And the universe is the best gardener in the world.
Yeah.
So when someone talks to them very simply about that and brings to their attention in a very neutral way, and they can feel that I'm not a Republican or Democrat, I'm not a Catholic or an atheist, and I'm not asking them from a very trying to figure out if they're for me or against me. Their soul, their energy can feel that's a neutral question. He's not trying to coerce me in anything. I'm going to have to think about that. When you start to think about that, you'll read different books. You'll ask different questions. Your awareness will spread. You'll ask me to help clear things up. But to what you said at the beginning of this, that's what was really good with my teacher. He had nothing to strip away. So when he started talking about this stuff, it was just a remembering for me, and it was very quick. It was very easy, and it allows me to do what we're doing right now, to talk about this in a very simple manner, because a lot of people talk about consciousness and the universe in a very complex, intelligent manner, which is perfectly fine, but most people can't understand it. So when you talk about it simply, it's a lot better for people to understand.
Yeah, because when we're explaining it from our religious context, we want us to look at that extra jargon. That's not necessary.
No.
Simplicity makes the conversation palatable for everyone.
Yep.
And if you're trying to get people to a level of consciousness, then we have to use conscious language. We have to intentionally speak to a person with the simplest course of understanding without trying to make ourselves so a lot of times we use those words, or we use complex terms so that we can always be the doers.
So we can be the teachers, so we can be the smartest person in the room. It's an insecurity of ours if we use that. But Einstein said it the best. If you can't explain it simply, you don't know it well enough.
So as you got on your path and you start working with various organizations, it's this funny that you went from that pay it forward mindset. So you've already working within the constructs of university giving, without even knowing what you were doing. So you have this experience, that people on board, and you traveled around and show people how important it was to get. Wasn't that how once you started to read your books and get your teachings and stuff like this? Oh, this is what I was doing.
No, it was just a remembering. The universe knew that if I had some big flashy aha or some type of spiritual moment or some type of vast awakening, that I would have just continuously chased that till the ends of the earth. I would have tried to replay that. I would have tried to get that feeling back. It knew that my teacher in the universe knew that it was going to get to the point where I would be able to explain this so simply that it would be able to help quite a few people. So it took away crazy experiences, the aha moments. Mine were very subtle. I'd be driving and something like you just said would come into my head. I'm like, oh, that's what I'm doing. Huh, what's for lunch? It was just a very subtle, something my teacher would teach me that was just incredibly high level that made no sense. A month later, I pull into the house and be like, oh, that's what he meant. And then I'd go in and pet the dog. Luckily for me, I didn't have any of those flashy experiences. I didn't chase anything. That makes perfect sense.
Let's talk about the flashy experiences, because when a person goes into a religious setting and then they have this emotional flashy experience, right? And they come home and they're so excited they want to tell everybody about it. But then that's what they're looking for. contain just happen that way. I think that was important for you and your personality, that you didn't even have that emotional outburst.
Because the universe knew I would chase it. If I had something where I saw a different dimension, or I saw a different entity, or I had this really flashy, I am one with the universe and I feel like I'm part of the tree, I would have not let it go. I would have probably been outside for the rest of my life, sitting next to a tree saying, I want to be one with the tree again. Because these flashy experiences are nothing more than experience. We call them flashy, we call them magical, but it's no different than eating, driving a car, going to work, whatever. The experiences all come from the same level. So we've put the construct on what we think is normal and what's not normal. I think the most magical thing on the face of the planet is that you and I are sitting here on the end of each podcast, and we came from a single cell inside a woman's body. And now we have organs and consciousness and senses and everything else. Everyone takes that for granted because that's how 8 billion people came about. We came from a single cell inside a woman's body, and this is what was created. That's the most magical thing to me. And on top of that, the spiritual path creates a lot of people trying to escape being human. If you listen to all of the near-death experiences, which there's tens of millions of them, they talk about how incredible that place is. And apparently we could manifest anything we wanted. We could have anything we wanted. What we're searching for in this human body is what we had over there. I guess we got bored and came down here to understand what we're not. We're not here for enlightenment. We're not here to escape the matrix, to escape the body. We're here to embody this physical body and to this physical presence. And that's coming from a person who would love to find another planet that's a little less dense.
People don't like to have those conversations.
No.
People don't like to talk about death. People like to talk about things that they can't really wrap their mind around, even though we know that all of it's going to happen. So yes, we'd like to really involve ourselves in conversations. Control what's going to happen. And then this internet, I can actually, I can control your responses. It's your responses that take me to another place. So I can't control it. But what I can control is how I respond to the responses. All right.
Yes.
And a lot of times, people in religious context don't want else to do all of the controlling. So they look to the pastor. They look to the choir. They look to the people. I don't knock it, but you just need to tell look at the people that go around the wall to wait for the smoke to come out. This thing that you're called, this to listen. I must say things I'm not knocking, but I wouldn't do that.
And what the best way to talk about that is there's just different levels of consciousness on this planet. And I will frame it this way. We don't get mad at an 8-year-old for being in 2nd grade, and a 16-year-old in 10th grade is not better than the 8-year-old. There's nothing wrong with someone being Catholic or atheist or Buddhist or there's nothing wrong with someone being spiritual, because spiritualism has just become the newest religion. It's just as dogmatic and has as many constructs and as rigid as the religion people left behind. It's the heads to the tails of the coin. So where I'm coming from, for the listeners, I don't have a dog in the fight. I am as neutral as it gets. I don't have a side. I'm asking the question. If everything is this or that, heads or tails, right or wrong, Catholic or atheist, Democrat or Republican, when it comes back to the coin, where'd the coin come from? It all comes from the same source. So me saying that, again, they may not agree with it. It may upset some people, but it plants a seed to grow so that we can get past, or we can create less division and conflict on this planet, because every Catholic thinks an atheist is the one that's ruining the world. But an atheist thinks the Catholic's ruining the world. That's incredible amounts of division and conflict. So we all love who we love. We love our family, and we want to leave the world better than where we left it, okay? We try to be, as Gandhi said, be the change you want to see in the world. We want less conflict. We want less division. We want less war. Every time you choose a side, you're a part of what you don't want. That's a very tough thing for people to admit to, and that's probably the most upsetting because I'm just coming from a neutral stand. But when it gets in there and they get away from the group mentality and they calm down, it at least brings an awareness to them that says, maybe he's right. Maybe I can have a little bit more compassion for the other side.
Bringing this information into the corporate world, small businesses or big businesses, and the people that you're working on now.
In a very different way. I make sure I came up with the chief consciousness officer. And people hear the word consciousness and they immediately think spirituality. So when I'm talking to executives or companies or CEOs and talking to someone like you and spreading that, there's a considerable amount of podcasts I've done who have admitted that they would have not had me on as soon as 3 months ago. That's how quickly the world's changing. That's how quickly people are starting to realize that what they've done in the past is not working. They hear about the chief consciousness officer and they're curious. So what I immediately do is I don't talk about what it is, which we'll get into. I talk about what it's not. It is not spiritual. It is not a wellness program. It is not meditation. It's not mindfulness. It's none of that. Because for the last 20 years, small, medium, and large businesses have implemented meditation, yoga, and wellness programs. My question is, how's the world doing right now? How are businesses doing right now? We have never been more divided. So obviously the wellness programs, the meditation, the yoga, the spirituality is in the right place, but it was done inauthentically. The CEO begrudgingly signed off on the budget for it because HR was forced into a corner because of some employees that complained. And the wellness program is not really highly attended after a couple months, but it's still there. So they can say in their employee handbook and on the wall that they care about employees. You know as well as I do, as consciousness shifts on this planet, it brings clarity. It removes the veil. The bullshit meter of employees is through the roof. So the employee, the executive or your manager can say, I really appreciate what you've done for us. And the employees, I know what you said. I know that's not what you think. I know that's not what you feel. So the division created between those, the division between a Republican and Democrat, the division between God or no God, the division between every side is spreading. The chief consciousness officer comes in and has discussions like this. They report to the CEO, but they have no authority over any other marketing or sales or customer service. They're there to raise the consciousness of the entire organization. They're there at the watering hole talking to customer service. They bring a level of clarity just by being in the room. They have the conversations with someone in a very neutral setting, and that can be felt by everyone they talk to. So when they ask a question, when I ask a question, they know I'm not trying to find out for malicious reasons. So they can be more authentic. They can open up. They can tell me why they believe what they believe, why they don't get along with Ed and customer service, why Susie's so crazy. When I hear that, and then I can go into my spiel in a sense of I'm talking to you. You do realize, Susie, that you think Ed's crazy because he has this belief, but he thinks you're crazy for your belief. Oh, no, it's not the way it is, but it plants a seed. All I'm looking to do because of the levels of consciousness on this planet, all 8 billion people are awakening, but some are going from second to third grade. Some are going from elementary to junior high. Some are going from junior high to, we have different levels, but the subtlety, the profoundness and powerfulness of someone going from second to third grade on the universal level on this planet is incredibly impactful. So luckily, this is not up to us because you and I have seen when we're left to our own devices, look at the world we create. This is a force that turns a 22-year-old into 23. There's a natural force that pushes things up. It's consciousness. And for people listening, you start to hear the word consciousness and their first question is, what the hell is that? The best metaphor for that is this. A wise fish is swimming through the ocean. He sees two young fish and says, hey boys, how's the water? The two young fish look at each other and say, what's water? That's consciousness. you, me, your listeners, everything physical and not, we're all swimming in consciousness. We, that single cell that grew into this body, is consciousness. So consciousness has been in business the entire existence, but no one's known it and no one's tapped into it. All they're using is the mind, which is the middleman. They know they have access to consciousness. It's basically like having the business having a blank check and cashing it for $100. You could have cashed it for 10 million. You could have cashed it for $1 billion, but you cashed it for 100 because you were unaware of your resources and your opportunities because you were up here. So a chief consciousness officer brings that to the company and allows every level to tap into it. It's not a spiritual thing. It's not for the top intelligence. It's not for the people who have clarity. It's for the person in second grade so they can get to third. It's so they can expand their awareness. When everyone starts to do this in the organization, there's less division and less conflict. And that will be, yes, exactly. And that's what a chief consciousness officer is and is not.
Everybody, you make understand what chief consciousness. That's the only thing the officer was. Now we do. And I really appreciate the fact that you're bringing this level of awareness in the industry, because as you know, our country is built on small businesses, to middle sized businesses, and having someone like you to help everyone's morale is definitely needed, especially in a time like this. What's your website? Where can you find you at?
I'm sure you'll put it in the video when you put it up. So I'll give you my LinkedIn. I like to drive people to LinkedIn. So it'll just be a link. And then I'll put my email and my cell phone on there. So if people have questions, I can help an individual. I can help organizations. I can help an executive team. It can be a week here, a month there, or if companies are looking to finally take the plunge and have a full time, we can do that as well.
So in our description, if you're listening, there's going to be a line in the second paragraph with his name, and that line is going to take you to a landing page where all his information is at, so that we can really have this conversation, in the deeper conversation, deeper sense of who we are outside of our own worldviews. And this consciousness that we're speaking pushes us to look past who we think that we are right now. We're all uniquely crafted. However, we're all breathing the same air, and it doesn't matter if he's in Utah now. We're all one.
Yes.
In the next few weeks, I'm going to be changing my website again. I'm going to actually start and book coming out. That would be helping people to really craft their mindsets. So if you're interested in any of those things, you can email me or you can text us or call us, and we'll get back to you. Our website is walkingvictory.me. Finally, action for catch ups. If most any of those things, what we do next is that you like and that you subscribe, so that these conversations can be heard by more people, your likes, their subscriptions. And if you listen to the corner platform that allows you to leave a comment, goes a long way. It helps us to rank better. It helps these conversations to ears of the people that need it. And we need these conversations. So walk with your head down, hold maybe just don't walk. Feel a little frustrated. Together we are part of the Walk in Victory family, and we walk in victory. Enjoy the rest of your day. Peace.